This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions.
Welcome to the Wire Weekly Roundup, the week in real estate presented in digestible bites. Hold on while our AI hosts take us on another ride through this week's top real estate headlines.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm really thrilled that you joined us again as we unpack some critical info out there, especially in the world of real estate. It just keeps changing. Today we are diving deep into the Wire Weekly Roundup, specifically their September 1st, 2025 episode hashtag 38. And I had this really provocative title, Housing's Trap, Why Refinancing Won't Save You and Rates Are Lying. Wow. So our mission, like always, is to cut through all that noise. We want to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge. We've looked at a big stack of sources, real estate news outlets, places like CNBC, Bigger Pockets, industry voices like NAR, Ion Housing. The goal is to arm you, our listener, whether you're deep in the industry, just an enthusiast, or maybe just curious with the insights you really need.
Exactly. And this past week, the News for Real Estate Pros, it presents a really fascinating picture, sometimes even, contradictory. We've gone through a lot of material here. We're trying to spot those core themes, yeah? But also the surprising bits, the contradictions, and importantly, those actionable takeaways for you. So let's get into it.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that title. Housing's Trap, Why Refinancing Won't Save You and Rates Are Lying. Definitely grabs you. Because, some initial data we saw actually mentioned rates dropping. So is the YRE maybe being a bit alarmist here? Or is there something deeper, like a hidden story about why a lower rate isn't the save people expect?
That's exactly the contradiction. And where it gets interesting, it's nuanced. On one hand, you look at the mortgage reports, they track daily rates. Did that August 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th consistently. And Ion Housing on August 28th even reported rates moving lower, hitting a 10-month low, in fact. So, on the surface...
it's pretty good, right? Encouraging.
Okay, yeah, seems positive initially.
But here's the kicker. Real Estate News, August 27th, they warned buyers directly, don't count on a future refi to save you money. They argued that sure, the rate might look good now, but any savings you think you're getting, they could easily get eaten up by other factors.
Other factors.
Exactly. Other costs once you actually own the home. It's like focusing only on the sticker price, not the total cost to own. What really jumped out at me, maybe the most surprising thing, was from Bigger Pockets, August 27th. They highlighted the secondary costs of homeownership that's become a bigger issue than mortgage rates. That feels like a huge shift in focus, doesn't it? What exactly are these secondary costs, and why are they suddenly overshadowing the actual mortgage rate for buyers?
Exactly. It's like the low mortgage rate is becoming a bit of a red herring for some people. The real trap isn't just the rate. It's these other costs, the ones people maybe didn't budget for or didn't realize would climb so fast.
Like what specifically?
Things like property taxes, which are soaring in many areas, homeowners insurance premiums, forget about it in some places,
Right.
plus ongoing maintenance, maybe HOA fees. CNBC put it pretty bluntly on August 28th. They said housing affordability is the real issue for consumers now, not just the loan's interest rate.
So even if you snag a slightly lower rate.
Right. If your taxes double or your insurance goes through the roof, that lower rate doesn't help your monthly budget nearly as much as you'd hoped. The overall cost is still a major hurdle, makes that good rate feel a bit hollow.
That's a huge point. Really changes how you have to look at affordability. But hang on, are these secondary costs new or just more visible now? Maybe because of, climate change hitting insurance or rising values pushing up taxes.
That's a great question. It's likely a mix of both. Some costs are rising faster than before, and people are definitely more aware of them now because the headline rate isn't the only pain point anymore.
And then there's this whole other layer, the political stuff. It seems like it's directly hitting the Fed, and that makes predicting rates even harder. Real Estate News on August 30th was asking why are mortgage rates so hard to predict? Bigger Pockets, same day, talked about the end of Fed independence, making it tougher, plus all that drama. Real Estate News reported on President Trump firing an official who then sued to stay. That was August 29th and 26th. And CNBC covered allegations about a Fed governor and mortgage fraud back on August 27th. what does all this volatility mean for advising clients about rates long term? Is it just a whole new ballgame?
Oh, it absolutely feels like it's changing the game. And yeah, it indirectly adds to the pressure from secondary costs too, just by creating more instability. What it really means is, well, a huge jump in uncertainty, much more than usual. We're moving beyond just economic forecasts now. The sources are suggesting that things we used to think were outside the market, mechanics, political fights, appointments, lawsuits involving the Fed, are now directly messing with the levers that control rates. Yeah. So you can't just rely on the old economic models anymore. Politics is playing a massive and honestly unpredictable role.
So what's the advice then?
It really calls for caution, flexibility, maybe advising clients to build in more buffer, think about resilience, rather than trying to perfectly time a rate dip that might be influenced by, well, anything.
Okay, so we've got these complex financials, the secondary costs, the political wildcards hitting rates. Let's pivot. What's this doing to the market itself? How are buyers actually behaving? Are we stuck? Gridlocked?
Seems like it. Real Estate News, August 28, they summed it up pretty well. Buyers give mixed signals as gridlocked market persists. It's not cleanly a seller's market or a buyer's market everywhere. It's patchy, contradictory even.
Mixed signals. Like what?
Well, you look at the July data from NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and their economist Lawrence Young. World Property Journal covered this Aug 27th and 26th. It showed definite fluctuations, pending home sales, median prices. Things are moving, but not always up and not consistently, but maybe the clearest signal of hesitation. CNBC reported August 28th that July pending home sales canceled contracts spike.
Spike. Oof.
Yeah. That's not just a slowdown. That's people actively backing out of deals. Shows a real lack of confidence, buyers hitting the brakes hard.
And new construction. Are people flocking there instead?
Not exactly flocking, no. Real Estate News, August 25th, said buyers seem to be turning away unless they're cheap.
Ah, price sensitive.
Very day. And Ion Housing, same day, reported new home sales stayed flat as affordability concerns persist. So demand exists, but it seems very focused on price. Buyers aren't willing to pay those big premiums for new builds right now unless they feel they're getting a deal.
So this raises a big question then, doesn't it? For you, our listeners. We always hear that phrase, history shows the housing market always recovers, right? Keeping current matters, argue that August 27th. But are we just in a dip? Or could these deep affordability issues? I mean, Zillow had that fascinating point August 28th about Gen Z. Millennials make housing sacrifices to attend wedding events. Are these signs of something more fundamental? A longer-term shift in who can afford what?
That's the core question, I think. The sources point both ways, honestly. Bigger Pockets on Aug 26th mention some areas still offer a buying window, especially in certain emerging cities. But elsewhere, significant headwinds, the affordability crunch, those secondary costs we talked about. It feels different this time for many people. It suggests a really fractured market, requires a much more granular understanding than maybe in the past.
Okay, so market's complex, finances are tricky, affordability is a huge question mark. How are real estate professionals supposed to handle all this? How do you thrive? Tech and marketing seem crucial now.
They really do. And what's fascinating is seeing this dual focus emerge from the sources. On one side, you absolutely have to leverage the new tools. Think AI. Real Estate News, Aug 29th, reported an ex-Zillow exec launched a startup with an AI listing coordinator. That's huge.
An AI coordinator. Wow.
Yeah. And Bigger Pockets, Aug 28th, noted why early AI adopters are closing more deals. It's not just a gimmick. It's giving agents a real edge. Plus, tech's helping in other ways, like CNBC mentioned on Aug 27th, improving mortgage fraud detection, making things safer.
Okay, so tech is one side. What about marketing?
Yeah.
Because the advice there seems all over the place.
Yeah, it really does. You've got Realty Times, Aug 29th, giving solid, practical advice. 7 things realtors should know about local SEO.
Yeah.
Fundamentals of getting found online.
Narrative stuff, yeah.
Important. Totally. But then you get these much bolder takes.
Yeah.
Real Estate News, Aug 26th, profile an agent winning clients with her Gen Z brain rot videos.
Wait, Gen Z brain rot videos. What even is that in a real estate context?
Yeah, it's basically that style of short, super authentic, maybe chaotic, unfiltered social media content. Apparently, it resonates deeply with younger buyers and sellers.
Okay.
And that ties into another real estate news piece from Aug 25th suggesting unfiltered. Provocative marketing can be effective. It really pushes boundaries.
So how do you square that? Provocative videos on one hand, and then wasn't there another Realty Times article, Aug 25th,
Right.
basically saying, close your social media accounts unless you care about your businesses? Seems completely opposite.
Right. That's the question you have to grapple with as a pro. How do you reconcile these wildly different approaches? I think the underlying theme, maybe the anchor, comes from Geek Estate blog. On Aug 29th, talking about rentals, they said trust is the currency of the rental experience.
Trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that applies just as much to sales, whether you're using sophisticated AI, optimizing your SEO perfectly, or making brain rot videos. It has to build trust. It has to provide real value. If it doesn't do that, it doesn't matter how clever or cutting edge it is.
That makes sense. Trust as the common denominator.
Yeah. And you see the established players adapting, too. Real Estate News reported Coldwell Banker recruiting a billion-dollar agent and expanding. That was Aug 30th. And they also reported eXp Realty. eXp Realty teams merging out in Southern California on Aug 27th. It shows brokerages know they need to offer robust support, innovation, help their agents navigate this weird mix of tech and marketing.
Okay, so after diving this deep, what's the big takeaway? What does all this mean for you, our listener, trying to make sense of today's market?
Well, I think the insights from the YRE and all these sources really show that the housing's trap. It's not just about high rates, or even rates dipping to a 10-month low. Paradoxically, it's much more layered, isn't it? It's about those sneaky, rising secondary costs. It's about the sheer unpredictability coming from political factors hitting the Fed. And it's about a market that feels stuck, gridlocked with buyers who are understandably cautious and sending mixed signals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's also maybe a landscape that's really ripe for innovation, right? For those who are willing to adapt. Whether it's using AI strategically, rethinking your whole marketing approach, maybe even getting a little provocative. If it's authentic and builds trust your ability to grasp these changes, synthesize them, and then clearly communicate that evolving picture to your clients, that seems absolutely paramount now. That's how you stand out and really serve people in this kind of environment.
Couldn't agree more. And that leads us right into our final provocative thought for you to chew on. Considering all these conflicting signals we've talked about, rates hitting lows, but secondary costs creating a trap, marketing advice pulling in opposite directions, how might actually redefining affordability in your conversations with clients be your most powerful tool? Moving beyond just a mortgage payment to paint the full picture, including all those other crucial, sometimes hidden costs. Could that be the key to cutting through the noise in this really complex, often misleading market?
That is definitely a deep question to ponder. Really brings it all together. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the YRE Weekly Roundup. We really hope this analysis helped you stay informed, adapt, and truly excel out there. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive.
If you're interested in your own personalized edition of The Wire, please visit us at thewire.fm/custom. We offer market-specific podcasts with all the latest real estate news and market analysis delivered to you weekly or monthly. Own your market with a personalized edition of The Wire, the week in real estate. Thank you for listening.